Good morning, it's Karen, and here's another set of rainbow recommendations. These are book recommendations based solely on the color of the cover. I find that there are a number of challenges out there that will tell you to read a green book or a red book or a blue book, and sometimes I find it difficult to find these books. So here are some books that I would recommend. To start with, we have a red book, and that is Once Was Willem. This was a fantastic find for me. It blew me away, and I absolutely adored it. It is a medieval fantasy horror. This is writing in the style that reminds me a lot of T.H. White, the Once and Future King. This follows a boy named Willem who unfortunately passes away really young, and his parents are so distraught that they hire a sorcerer to resurrect him. Unfortunately for them, he is resurrected and he is not the same Willem. We are following both Willem and the sorcerer in this story. Willem, I guess, is your golden boy hero, but he is far from perfect. Along the way, he meets a found family of ancient gods and storytelling type folk creatures, and it is just so heartwarming, and I absolutely adored this blend. We are also following the sorcerer, who is a very, 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 very evil man. He uses people as his own stepping stones and cornerstones of his world that he would like to build. That doesn't go down well with the villagers. Willem then takes on the sorcerer. I adored this book. It is short, but it packs a punch. For our orange book, I have Death of the Author by Nydia Corafor. She is one of my favorite authors, and this was no less glorious. This is a sort of blend of science fiction and near future. We are following Zelu, who is of Nigerian descent, and she had an accident as a child that has basically defined her whole life. She is paralyzed and uses a wheelchair, and she is also a very complex character, let's just say. She is probably what most people would call a dislikable main character, but I would rail against that and say she is a very complete character. She is well rounded and sharp around the edges, and I loved that about this story. She finds herself fired from her job as a professor because she critiqued some of her students, and her students did not like that, and they had an uproar and she got fired. And in her despair, she writes a novel called Rusted Robots, and it becomes a sensational bestseller. So throughout the story, we get Zelu's life, and we also get parts of her book. We get this beautiful blend of Nigerian culture, and I never felt alienated once. I felt very welcomed into it, and I learned so much, and I kind of felt like I was part of her family. Her family is very complex, just like she is, and you can see points of view from each of the characters. So beautifully crafted. If you love the exploration of commenting on people's ability to choose what to do with their own bodies, this is a fantastic choice. For a yellow book, I have a nonfiction, and that is The Garden Against Time. I adored this one. This one surprised me beyond what I could have imagined. This is following a woman who has decided to restore a 17th century garden. I went into this thinking that it was just going to be about her gardening and coming to like life's realizations and it being kind of a bit of a fluff memoir, and it was absolutely not that. We have that in there, but interspersed throughout is her research done about gardens in the 17th century. So we get a lot from Paradise Lost. Milton, like just the man himself, and all of the context and implications that Paradise Lost brings. She brings in the types of people that would have gardens in that era. And of course, it was the rich, and talking about the privilege of having a garden and what that means in our society now. She does a bit of reflecting on COVID for sure, because during COVID, there were a lot of outdoor spaces that were suddenly cut off from people who didn't normally get access to them. So this is a overall an exploration of who gets to experience the peace and the beauty of green spaces. It is reflective, it is dense, it is historical, it is this beautifully wrapped up story. Even if you're not a gardener yourself, I feel like you would find something in this one. For our green book, I have Garden Spells. This was another surprise for me. I adored this book. Now, I could maybe call this one sort of a Hallmark movie, kind of a romance. There are hard edges to it where I find Hallmark movies don't tend to have uh, high stakes. I felt like this one did. This is following a woman who's sort of become a recluse in her town. She lives in this beautiful house that has a magical garden, wherein the things that she harvests from this garden can give people a little pep in their step. She sells a very sought after alcohol that she makes. She makes apple pies that make people maybe fall in love. And she's sort of a green witch, if you will. And we follow her as she has a new neighbor who moves next door and kind of disrupts her whole sense of peace. And then you have her sister who returns after being estranged for years and disappearing with her daughter. And these two sisters suddenly have to reconcile with their past life and sort of heal a little bit. And I really enjoyed the exploration in this one. This one made me cry. It was very tender, it was very beautiful, and it was an uplifting book to read. For blue, I have The Last Quintista. This is a young adult science fiction novel following a girl who, her and her family win a lottery position on one of the last ships to leave Earth before some devastating thing destroys it. They end up going on this ship, like an ark where they put people to sleep and they go on a long journey and they wake up at their destination. In that sleep, they are supposedly learning a whole bunch of things. So they get to choose what courses they're going to learn and what they're going to become proficient in. The idea is that once they reach this newfound destination, they're going to create a new society and have lots of people who are well rounded in many areas of knowledge. She decides at the last moment to change one of hers to be a bit of a storyteller. I quite enjoyed this exploration of what it means to be a storyteller and the burden and privilege that it is to carry stories of humanity. There is, of course, a bit of a twist in the middle of it where she gets woken up too early and she finds something tragic has happened to the rest of the crew. It's all about her sort of grappling with loss of family, loss of Earth, newfound family, and creating a new life for herself and what's going to become of humanity. For an indigo colored cover, I went with The Tainted Cup. Now, you can see that there's green around the edges, but underneath is this sort of indigo, dark bluey purple. This is a fantasy mystery, which is my favorite niche corner genre that I'm into right now. We're following a sort of Sherlock and Watson crew. The Watson, I mean, I would say is arguably more brilliant than the Watson of Conan Doyle. We are following their story and their partnership with the Sherlock of the story, who is an absolute genius, sees patterns in everything. The main character goes to this political house, a very high up family, and one of the captains in the army, I think he's a captain, has been murdered in the most mind blowing way that I could. Oh my goodness, it sucks you in because you're kind of doing this whole like I'm not really reading what I'm reading. Let's just say Death by Tree was fascinating. This is a world where there is like a Asian feel to it. There are titans on the periphery that are attacking and sort of creating this uncertainty politically, a lot of shifting powers, and our main character is trying to figure out the main reason why this particular guard was murdered. And it is fascinating, and I like the grander implications. There is a second book in this series that goes even further into political implications, and I am really enjoying where this is going. This one I just finished reading. This is our violet book cover, and that is The Midnight Timetable. This is a short work, and it is a translated work. So if you've got that in a challenge as well, this is a good one. This is a novel in short stories. So there are a number of short stories that interconnect and create a whole picture. I absolutely adored the premise of this. There is a little bit of uncertainty. It's kind of literary horror, I would say. We are following a character who has just been hired to this institute, and she is getting trained with some odd caveats. Like, if somebody is following you in the hallway, don't look behind you, otherwise, they'll keep following you. Or if a room is locked, don't go in it. Absolutely do not go in it. There are a number of cursed items. There are a number of supernatural items that carry ghosts with them. And there's a very odd man who wanders the hallways, won't say anything other than, you can't go in there. Try describing him, you absolutely can't because he is the most nondescript man you have ever seen. This is a very cool, unsettling story, and it is unlike anything that I've read most recently. And I would highly, highly recommend this one if you are into a very experimental, exploratory type of ghost storytelling. And the last one is a little bit wild. For our pink pick, I have The Family Game. Now, we have Christmas coming up really soon, and this one is a little bit Christmassy themed, where this woman is on the precipice of becoming a best-selling author. She's about to put out her first book, and she has just gotten engaged to this very wealthy man who has, let's say, old money, and he invites her back to visit his family, and they inform her that every Christmas they have a family game. This family game is absolutely terrifying. If you have ever heard of, there's a very famous monster that is a European monster that for some reason I cannot remember the name of. You have to be the first person to find a particular item in the house before the monster gets you. This is terrifying, it is thrilling, and it is the wildest ride that you will ever go on. I really liked this one because it was just so beyond over the top that I had such a fun time because it was just wild. It just, there's no other way to describe it. There you have it. There's an array of color recommendations. My name is Karen. I am the Book Libranaut. I like exploring all different types of books. Join us again for the next installment of Rainbow Recommendations. We'll see you again soon. Bye.